how a Crosby, Stills, and Nash connection led to Henry Diltz doing the famous Doors cover for Morrison Hotel. I'm John Beaudin from Rocky Street Music. Henry Diltz, one of my favorite interviews of the last 12 months. I'd love to interview him again because I want to pick his brain. But he's done some great album covers, of course. I loved when he worked with Paul McCartney and James Taylor, the Eagles, of course, their first two albums, Crosby, Stills, and Nash. And that's where we start. There's a connection between that and Morrison Hotel. I know you've told the story 1,000 times. Morrison Hotel, that story is an amazing story. So you snuck in there.
Yeah. Well, so the Doors called us. We'd done the CSN album, Gary Burton and I. And it was done. Gary was an architect before he did album covers. He was redesigning Mama Cass's house. He got to be friends with her. She said, Gary, I want you to do my first solo album cover. He said, Cass, I'm an architect. I'm not a graphic artist. And she said, well, you make a blueprint, you make an album cover. What's the difference? And he said, okay. And days after that, he saw me at a Love-In on a weekend photographing all the fellow hippies. And he said, hey, you're a photographer. You want to help me do this? And so as an architect, he was used to using different materials. So when we did the CSN album, he told the printers to turn the paper over and print on the uncoated side. Before that, all album covers were glossy.
Yeah.
But he told them print on the unglossy side. And they said, oh, well, we can't. It'll soak up the ink. He said, I don't care. I want you to do it. And the group backed him up. The record company had a fit. He said, what? They said, he wants you to do what? And the CSN said, let him do whatever he wants. And so that cover has a rough texture to it. Like wooden music. It feels good. It's organic. So that was quite wonderful. And he picked out the picture and made sure there was no type over their faces. And, he really did a good job laying out that album cover. The Doors saw that, said, hey, we want you guys to do our next cover. So we went to their office. We said, okay, what's the title? Oh, we don't have a title. Well, what do you want on there? Do you have any ideas? No, we don't. That's why we called you guys. And we're going, okay, well. And then Ray Manzarek just spoke up randomly. He said, my wife Dorothy and I were driving through downtown LA the other day, and we saw this funky old hotel. It said Morrison Hotel on the window. And we both went, wow, that sounded great. We went right down there and saw it. Jim, Ray, Gary, and I. We went in, we saw the place. It was an old, flea bag kind of, it was a place for derelicts, rooms, $2.50 to sleep it off. And so we went back a week later with the group and kind of marched in the lobby, which was empty except for a guy behind the desk who said, you can't photograph anything in here unless you get permission from the owner. Yeah. Well, where's he? Well, he's not here. He was a famous slumlord who everybody was terrified of. So he said, you can't shoot any pictures in here. And so I said, okay, guys, come on, we got to walk outside. I thought they could stand in front of that window. They can't stop us from doing that. And we walked out and started standing in front of the window, but I saw a light go on in the lobby, a big white light. And I looked in, said, oh, look, that's the elevator light. Wait, the guy left the desk and went up in the elevator. Quick, run in there, you guys. I mean, that's exactly what happened. They ran in. They just got behind the window. We didn't have to say, okay, you switch with you, sit, you stand, you sit. We didn't say anything. They just went to those places. Jim right in the middle. Yeah. And I took one roll of film and we got out of there.
Well, you took a lot outside, too, because you didn't worry about time outside. It didn't matter, right?
No, we just took the ones inside. And then one roll of them behind the window. That's all we took that day. Oh. Except then Jim said, let's go get a drink. It was like 4 p.m. So we went a few blocks to Skid Row where we found the original Hard Rock Cafe. Oh. It was called the Hard Rock Cafe. It had been there since the 30s. And it meant rock in a hard place, mining. And so we took a bunch of pictures in there and outside. And that's kind of where the Hard Rock got its name.
Well,
the big international Hard Rock, yeah.
Right. The obvious question, what was your impression of Jimmy Morrison? I mean, well...
he was very much an observer. He was a poet. Yeah. He liked to observe people. instead of running up and saying, "Hey man, how's it going?" I mean, he would stand there quietly, kind of, and a wink and a nod, or "Hey, how you doing?" He wasn't demonstrative. The word I use is bemused. He was bemused. He liked to stand there with a little smile on his face and just dig it, just watch what was happening. Almost like a hipster, maybe,
Wow.
He was a filmmaker, right? Before that, a filmmaker and a poet. That meant he liked to observe, kind of like me. So we never had any long conversations. I mean, we had a couple of meals and spent a few days shooting with him and the group. And I knew him from around town. I'd seen them play here and there. He knew I was a musician. So, we automatically were cool,
Make sure you comment on our video, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos. I'm John Beaudin from Rocky Street Music.